Crypto is on the rise, making that dough in the crypto paradigm. Watching it go, buying low, selling high. Riding the wave, I'm here to stay, living in the digital age. No banks, no fees, just decentralized. It's crypto paradise. Ooh. No banks, no fees.
Well, it looks like Crypto Amaru has fallen off. If we're still alive, let me get this shared everywhere, and then we'll get into this. I looked up to silence. I'm like, oh, is Crypto Amaru just gone? Probably. Let's look at some charts here to start the day. We got a bunch of news pieces. That's kind of Crypto Amaru's thing, but he just fell off. I'm sure he'll come back like he always does. Let's start with Ethereum here. We've had this light white line drawn on the chart for a very long time. Right around $2,000. Well, we just broke above that, 2,084. But why is this break more important than these other breaks? Well, not only do we break the white line, but we also are getting above the moving average, getting in between the moving average zone that I told you we need to do. Let's consolidate in this level, get the rounding of this yellow, and get this yellow moving average to round up, cross from below this red moving average, which is the 300. That would be a bullish cross, and get momentum back in Ethereum. The fun really doesn't start for Ethereum until you get back above these levels, above $28,000 to $3,000. Then you can start to feel comfy and start saying there's a major trend reversal and a major low in Ethereum was put in. But these green candles are nice to see a new high for the war times right here on Ethereum. For Bitcoin, $71,832. That deserves a cup of coffee. Let me take a sip of this. Oh, yeah. Gotta love it. You're not out of the woods yet, but 71,861 is amazing. Breaking above the moving average. We've been calling for that. We got rejected here. We talked about that yesterday. Back into this confluence here. We want the same thing. We want this 200 moving average to start to round up and through the 300 moving average for a bullish cross. The fun begins on Bitcoin once we get back into the 80s. And I know everybody's like, oh, we just need to get above 81,000. No, I really want to get above 84 to $85,000 to feel comfy, to feel good, and to say that the trend reversal is confirmed and a major low is in, leaving the 4-year cyclists in the dust. That's all I gotta say there. Let's take a look at some other things. PTGC, why is this one important? Oh my gosh, another green here. How are you up 42% in these market conditions? Well, if you remember in the live show, I said, hey, I'm posting something to the Surf DAO group. So 200,000 Surf or more on Pulse Chain to get in that group. I'm also posting something to our private Patreon group. That's patreon.com/learncrypto. And that was the first bullish signal breakout for PTGC, giving a buy at this level. And what do you know? 48 hours later, up 43%. Shall you trade it? Shall you hold it? That's up to you. Volume ticking up. Pulse chain ticking up. Massive gains if you just want to put some profits in the pocket. But remember, by simply holding PTGC, you do receive that passive income. It is burning itself out of existence. And a lot of the token economics we see from PTGC, we moved over into Surf. You see how PTGC can react at the lows. You see how it can benefit the holders. The same will apply for Surf. And Surf is 100,000 market cap. Let me tell you guys, PTGC will be the first billion-dollar asset over on Pulse Chain outside of the blue chips. And Surf token is going to go to 100 million market cap as long as we get Ethereum above 5,000 and get another altcoin season here the remainder of this year and early next year. Crypto Amaru, can you speak?
I'm back. I think.
Oh, there he is. I hear you.
Mic issues. So sorry about that. Took a little troubleshooting. What's going
Yeah, so
on?
I just went over the Ethereum chart, the Bitcoin chart, and the PTGC chart, talking about how the Surf DAO members got this call. It's up 43%. I don't know if you want to kind of do an intro here, some news pieces, and that way I can get this shared with everybody else.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you taking the lead there as I was dealing with my technical difficulties. Happy to be back. Welcome to the show, guys. Yeah, man. Big picture, macro, things are looking great. Seems like this war, whether through outright military victory or negotiated settlement, will be ending likely before the end of March, would be my guess. Maybe within the next 1 to 2 weeks. We probably have a bit more bombing to do if we are serious about taking out Iran's and the regime's, military capabilities. But news broke this morning that they've reached out to Trump through the CIA to try to broker some sort of truce. So my guess is this war comes to an end one way or another. But the bigger thing, I think, is look at Bitcoin's reaction. We are now above 70,000 last I checked, maybe $71,000 Bitcoin. When Bitcoin is pumping in the face of seemingly bad news, usually a good sign that the market may be reversing and we're heading back towards an all-time high at some point in the next few months. So that happening, and then of course the news breaking last night that Trump is essentially strong arming the banks. Maybe we have that tweet ready to go, but strong arming the banks to accept that Americans should be able to earn interest on their stablecoins. A remarkable tweet from Trump last night. Amidst everything happening in Iran, Trump still has time to prioritize crypto. What a beautiful thing. So maybe you want to pull that up. I think that's probably one of the main reasons why Bitcoin's pumping, because Clarity Act should be passing soon now that Trump's involved.
Here we got Eric Trump, the big banks, the very institutions that have held a monopoly and screwed their customers for years, offering near zero yields on retail money markets accounts while crushing low balance accounts with exorbitant fees, are now doing everything they can to block the crypto industry from offering real benefits, perks, and rewards on their platforms. They are the greatest hypocrites and are in mass panic given they know they are losing the digital finance race. And here is Donald Trump's post here. The Genius Act is being threatened and undermined by the banks, and that is unacceptable. We are not going to allow it. The U.S. needs to get market structure done ASAP. We want it to be done by end of March. Now, does this Iranian war put a damper on that? Maybe. We'll see how that happens. We still got a lot of time here, and now Trump is talking about it. Americans should earn more money on their money. The banks are hitting record profits, and we are not going to allow them to undermine our powerful crypto agenda. That will end up going to China or other countries if we don't get the Clarity Act taken care of. The Genius Act was the U.S. first big step to make the United States the crypto capital of the world, and getting the Clarity Act done is the next step to finish the job, and most importantly, keep this big and powerful industry in our country. Wow, what a stark difference from the last 4 years in the last administration. The banks should not be trying to undercut the Genius Act or hold the Clarity Act hostage. They need to make a good deal with the crypto industry because that's what is best interest of American people. The industry cannot be taken from the people of America when it is so close to becoming truly successful. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump.
Let's fucking go. Trump. I don't know how he's doing it. Like, this man doesn't sleep. I love it. Dismantling the Iranian regime, hopefully bringing peace to the Middle East. That's going to be, by the way, a big boon to the economy, apparently, if in fact a more moderate regime takes over and they're no longer terrorists. But outside of that, man, this is huge news, I think. And I watched some good analysis about this, or read some good analysis, I should say, last night after this news broke. Apparently, the banks tried the same playbook when money market accounts were first proposed under law. I think this was 30 years ago or something. You shouldn't be able to earn, because now you can deposit money in a money market account and you can earn like 4 or 5%, whatever. The banks fought that tooth and nail, apparently 30 something years ago, and made the same kind of arguments, but ultimately lost that argument as well, and money market accounts were allowed to proliferate and be a legal thing. My guess is we get the same outcome here. Now that Trump is putting his weight behind it, that should really allow the Republicans to coalesce around his vision of the Clarity Act. Obviously, the crypto side, we know where they stand. And the banks are just going to have to evolve and adapt. That's fine. They can, here's the new rules. You guys can play by these new rules. Crypto can play by the new rules. Compete, and let's do what's best for the American people. Simple as that.
Yeah, it is pretty wild that the banking system here in America, they could lend out your money on a 10-to-1 ratio legally, and then for your savings accounts and checking accounts, pay you 0.025% on that money, in which they're taking that money, lending it out for 5%, 6%, putting it into money markets themselves at 4%, 5%, and then giving you a whopping 0.25 or 0.025 back.
Yeah, it's a big-ass scam. People shouldn't be holding their money in a saving account anyway. That's a terrible thing to do, but sadly, many Americans do it. I watched Jamie Dimon go out yesterday because he's lobbying in favor of the banks. He's a real piece of shit, isn't he? And he's like, if you want to be a bank, well then, be regulated like a bank. Act like a bank was basically his argument to the crypto companies. And to that I say, the stablecoin issuers, the exchanges, they're already essentially a better version of a bank. They're holding your assets one for one. They don't do fractional reserve banking.
Right. They can't
I trust
legally.
my money more with Tether than I would with Chase Bank. They can't debank me in a second, So hopefully this is the beginning of the end of this sort of will it pass, won't it pass. Trump stepping in, making that tweet, I think sends a very strong message. But we'll see. The banks could still hold things up further, I guess. And
Yeah,
to
the news.
Coinbase, I just
Go
want to
ahead.
say one final thing. To Coinbase, you're probably not going to get everything you want. I still think the parties are going to have to compromise to some degree or another. So Coinbase needs to come to the table, bank come to the table, work something out, guys. But now that Trump's involved, I'm very, very positive on it.
Yeah, it looks like maybe by the end of March, maybe we have Clarity Act. Maybe we have the end of the Iranian conflict as they're trying to negotiate. These are all reasons why Bitcoin is pumping. And I wanted to mention a couple things real quick. Some primary results coming out of Texas that I think are positive when you're looking towards the midterms. You have this one here. This is a Republican primary. Mr. Eye Patch himself, the guy who got in on the premise that he was a manly man full of testosterone and become more and more beta year by year and falling more and more towards the left, he has lost and now being replaced by Steve Toth here January 2027. So that's good news. Secondly, in Texas, there was a Democrat primary. And although, yes, the Democrat wins, which is never a good thing, Jasmine Crockett, one of the far left Looney Tunes with AOC and all those guys, she lost as well to another individual. So she is out on her way on the ass as well. So, this isn't the end of the world. These are just primary results, but it's good to see that even in the midst of chaos, and they're saying, oh my God, Democrats are going to run away with the midterms, that the left-leaning Republican lost and the super left radical AOC fangirl Jasmine Crockett lost as well.
The left's extreme ideology is just simply not popular in the United States. And despite what you see from like Mondani, AOC, Bernie Sanders, see, that's the funny thing, right? Like the most prominent popular voices on the left are saying crazy things that actually are not popular policies with the majority of Americans. So I don't know. I mean, and I saw yesterday a clip of Gavin Newsom, who was allegedly, the front runner on the Democratic side for 2028 as the president, basically coming out and saying he wouldn't support Israel in the fight and he would basically be backing Iran is essentially what that you could read the tea leaves on his statement, and that's what it amounted to. And it's like, holy smokes, this is not, I think, reflective of the majority of what Americans want and believe. So, yeah, I know there's a lot of hand-wringing right now. Oh, will the Republicans get spanked in the midterms because of economy, because this, that, the other. I'm a little more optimistic. Not because everything the Republicans are doing is like wonderful, amazing, perfect, but really because the far left is just out of touch and out of their minds.
Yeah, we got Louis Lullaby 8. What's going on? Miko Chapo, AJ West, good morning. Let's go. Martin Max King saying hello. We got smash the like, share, and subscribe buttons. And Martin Max King, do you remember all the Tether FUD we've been in all those years? I mean, Martin, if you watched us back on Learn Crypto, in 2017 when Tether went from $1 to 80 cents and people were selling it and oh my God, panic fearing, Bitcoin sold off. We always said, no, we believe in Tether. We think it's going to be fine. It's going to repeg. There's an opportunity to make 20%. But also it's funny, whenever there's stablecoin FUD, the entire crypto market sells off, which is always ironic to me. Because it's like, oh my God, the stablecoin is going to depeg, so let's also sell my Bitcoin too. What are you selling it to? You're selling it to a stablecoin? Like, I just don't understand that ideology. If you think the stablecoin is going to depeg and go to zero, wouldn't you swap all that stablecoin for a hard asset like Bitcoin or Ethereum? It just never seems to go that way, though.
I think the stablecoin FUD, those days are done, at least with respect to Tether and USDC. You may have some of these smaller, maybe more DeFi ones or just random ones that are not really backed by much. You'll see those crash and crater to zero from time to time. But the major pillars from a stablecoin perspective, USDT and USDC, they're not going to, they're just getting stronger and stronger. And you have to understand why that is. It's due in part to the fact that with the passage of the Genius Act, the stable coins have to be backed by U.S. treasuries, which are very hard to sell otherwise. If you're Treasury Besson and you're trying to sell U.S. treasuries, which is a terrible investment, and now all of a sudden you have, by law, these stable coins have to be backed by treasuries. Wow, what a wonderful area to sink and to sell essentially a bunch of U.S. treasuries. So it all works together. There's a reason why Trump is tweeting the way he is. There's a reason why the market's pumping. There's a reason why Clarity is going to get passed. There's a reason why Bitcoin's going to hit all-time highs again.
Yeah, Bitcoin rebounds past 70,000 a spot. Bitcoin ETFs pull in 1.45 billion over the last 5 days. The strongest weekly inflow in months as institutional demand continues to provide support. We went over all these ETFs and all these inflows in yesterday's live show, so this shouldn't be a surprise to you, but the green continued yesterday as more institutions are piling into the ETFs.
Thank you, institutions. Thank you, hedge funds. And thank you, boomers. Why is it that the boomers are buying cheap after the 4-year cyclists who were allegedly, you guys are supposed to be true cypherpunks and believe in the ethos of Bitcoin and you're long term and you're in this for 10, 20, 30 years, just like Michael Saylor, right? Oh, never mind. You were just in it for a quick buck, trying to make, quick gains and trade in and out and, outperform the market. It ain't going to work, guys. How is it that the boomers have more conviction at $60,000 and $70,000 than the Bitcoin OGs? Just fucking sad.
It is very interesting there. Now, if I was OG with 9 billion, okay, I get why you're selling. But again,
Set them aside.
Do you need to sell all 9 billion? Probably not. You probably don't need to sell all 9 billion, Start, buy a couple billion back first now on the discount. It was a good trade, all right?
Well, I don't even count those guys because they proved they were diamond hands and they retired their entire bloodline, so good for them. I'm talking about the guy with $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 in the market who maybe he got lucky, rode up from 16 or 20 or 50, $30,000 to the 120. Okay, sold. Are you buying back in now? When are you buying back in? Or are you done with this market? Because my guess is, I've seen it, man. I've seen it with my own eyes. The attrition rate on crypto from a retail standpoint it's like 90%, 95%. People will not last. People do not hold Bitcoin for more than a year or two if you're average retail. Which is sad because they're going to miss out on generational gains when this shit's at $1 million in 10 years from now.
Yeah, I know you said that out of your friend group, all you guys are in it. No, you're the only one left, or maybe there's one.
Literally the only one. The only one. There was a buddy of mine who was in it, but then he watched enough YouTube videos from a guy who was bearish and a chart guy and 4-year cycle guy, and so he sold everything around 80,000. And he moved his money back into real estate, and he's doing that, which is fine. I mean, that is his business that he knows, and, he'll do well over there. But I asked him, look, man, because he dumped all this money, it was a couple $100,000, back into this real estate project, which is going to finally generate profits for him, I think, in 2 to 3 years. And I was like, but what if Bitcoin in 2 or 3 years at 200,000, like, wouldn't you just holding Bitcoin have been better for you? He's like, yeah, it would have. It will be. But he didn't believe in it. So he sold out.
Sold out on 80
I'm the
at
only one
80
left.
on the way to
my
120.
friends from 10 years ago who got in this asset class. Retail doesn't last. Sad.
Well, Mark thinks that retail should be coming back. It's starting to look like 2020 again. The Fed is pumping 16 billion in repo injections this week. They've done a full 180 in the past few months, from draining liquidity to straight up expansion. Expansion phase from March 2020 to November 2021. Bitcoin $3,800 to $69,000. That is an 18x. Alts from 40 billion to 1.7 trillion, over a 40x expansion. Combine this with the recent ISM print above 50 for the second month in a row, 52.4 to be exact, and 3 months consecutive green candles versus Bitcoin and bullish crossover. Alt season 2026 to 2027 is about to catch 99% off guard and under position. The 1% will make millions overnight. Now, I don't think it's going to be overnight. It's not going to be easy, but we are starting to see outperformance. We've been talking about this the past 3 live shows. We have been saying that we're looking for Ethereum and Bitcoin to find a bottom just because they didn't go to new lows after the Iranian conflict and that Black Swan event. And, we are starting to pick up some gems. We're talking about some gems through pools that are doing good. We're going to talk about Bullshot here. We've given some trades in the private group for PTGC. It's up 40% in 72 hours. And there is starting to see some green specks here and there as the ISM is ticking up, as Ethereum and Bitcoin find a footing, and as people sit on their hands waiting to see if this is truly the bottom that we've been waiting 6 months for.
Well, I'll tell you what's going to happen. Bitcoin's going to continue to creep up. It's highly oversold. I think a lot of the points this gentleman makes are accurate and correct. As it starts to grind higher, you're going to have more and more 4-year cyclists, whales, whoever's been sitting in tether. They will start to rotate back into Bitcoin and Ethereum, Solana, etc., and they will start to get back active in the trenches again. I don't know if it's going to happen tomorrow, but I think over the next 2 to 3 months, this is what we're going to continue to see, absent some other crazy black swan. But I think that's done. I think the crash, the 50% correction from 126 to 60, that's about as low as we're going to get, guys. So eventually, people will start to FOMO back in, driving the price higher and higher. Eventually, new entrants come in because Bitcoin and crypto are ripping and roaring, and it's the hot popular thing again, and Trump's behind it, and Clarity Act's passed, and war's over. Guys, we could get back to 100,000 in a quick damn hurry. So if you're sidelined, my suggestion is start DCAing now. Not financial advice, but start DCAing now. You won't regret it if your time horizon is long.
Are you going to take one Bitcoin and convert it to one Lamborghini? Breaking $20 billion luxury auto giant Lamborghini just announced it will now accept Bitcoin. Bitcoin is going mainstream. Now, this isn't, unheard of. There's luxury vehicles that are accepting Bitcoin, Ethereum. But it is interesting that this is coming out now as Bitcoin starts to see some green candles. And we know, for those of you who've been here multiple cycles, it was all about the Lambos. Lambos was the memes of crypto. That was the goal. That was the financial freedom that people saw in Bitcoin when it was $100, $1,000, $10,000. That before you knew it, you would be able to cash in and get yourself a Lamborghini as a badge of honor and making it through the crypto trenches.
It's interesting. Are the Gen Z, the Zoomers, they're the newest people in crypto, right? We're old fogies. Let's just be honest. We're the OGs. People probably look at how old these losers are. Do the Gen Z types, do they even know that phrase, when Lambo? Because I've not seen that in the trenches in years.
But the Gen Z guys don't have any aspirations. I don't know what they're doing. Their aspiration is like, let's make some more money so I can buy some more OnlyFans girls. Just a bunch of fucking losers in Gen Z, to be honest with you. Prove me wrong.
Yeah,
I will say there is this big trend of Chads and whatever and aura farming. I don't watch all those kick streamers, but it's nice to see that high testosterone level men are starting to get the spotlight again and not afraid to get out there, pump their chest up, and do some stupid things. But we'll see what happens with Gen Z. When Lambo is not a thing, when Moon is not a thing, when anything is not a thing. They're just trying to make casino gains in the trenches, and we need to get that converted. We need them to actually look to the future and what this technology can do, what it's doing to the financial monetary system. It's like they're too young to understand why banks suck, why fiat sucks, inflation, and all these things we talk about it. That's why we probably don't have a lot of Gen Z viewers. That's like way over their head. They're definitely not learning that in college.
Yeah, man. Gen Z, I think because of COVID, that was their formative years. It really effed them over. So I feel bad for those folks who missed their prom, never got laid the night after prom or night of prom, whatever. Those are formative things that they miss, sadly, because of COVID. So I don't blame them entirely. But I think they're just cynical. I mean, look, they've been through a lot. We've all been through a lot. But it seems like, their approach to crypto is like go to the meme coin trenches, flip, try to make a couple $1,000, and then, I don't know, spend that money on some looks maxing bullshit to like not get laid, to then just talk shit about women on streams. So, I don't know. Gen Z, get your shit together. Get out to a bar, by the way. You know what I hate, too? This whole narrative of alcohol's all bad. Never drink. Just optimize and maximize and max this, max that. Never have fun. Never get drunk. Dude, you're young once. Go out. Live a little. Hit on some chicks at the bar. Get rejected. Don't get rejected. Get laid. I don't care. But live your damn life. Stop just living on the internet trying to max everything.
Yeah, I think
not having any fun.
Alcohol consumption or industry was down like 800 and something billion. I'm not going to say, oh, that's great, or that, oh, that's bad. It's interesting because the other thing too, it's like, okay, you're not drinking, but you're subsidizing with something else. You're subsidizing with marijuana. Industry has exploded. OnlyFans and porn industry has exploded. Like, yes, there's the look maxing high T guys who are on kick, and it's like, oh, look at those guys, but that is not the majority. If you look at numbers, that is astonishing. Look at testosterone level charts. It looks like the fiat dollar spending power, down and to the right. Terrible. Look at the rate at which individuals age 30, 25, and even 20 have they been laid. Like, how many virgins did you know in your high school class? There wasn't many, and then by college, there was near non-existent. Now that is becoming almost a mandatory thing, or it's a predominant thing for men in that age group. Women are becoming hoes and men are not getting laid. Only the top tier men get all the chicks, and that's the way of the world. And that's not a good thing for mental health. It's not a good thing for, like you said, experiences. Nobody's getting out and doing anything. Staying home, playing video games, smoking weed. Look, I love doing those things too. I went to college, I played soccer, I smoked weed, I played video games with the boys, but I definitely went out and partied and got laid. You need to do that as well.
You need to do that as well. Amen. Nothing wrong with a little Mario Kart and some weed when you're in your 20s. But I don't want to. I don't want to see you guys sit on the couch smoking weed at like age 30, 35, 40. Like that is not a good look. If you want to, I'm not saying become an alcoholic, but damn, go out, live a little, loosen up, have some fun. I don't know. Gen Z, I love you guys. I really do. I hope the best. My guess is, just because I always like leaving things on a positive note here. My guess is this will have been a phase of their lives. They're young, dumb 20s. Young, dumb 20s, I did dumb shit. Not exactly the same as how you guys are doing dumb shit, but I did a lot of dumb shit. But eventually, you kind of forced to grow up. You're like, shit, I don't want to be single forever. So I got to get my life together. I got to get a real job. I got to take care of my health. And I got to try to find the most attractive woman who's going to be a real, legit partner and get with her and then maybe have kids one day. Because eventually that does, you want that to be a thing. So my guess is by the time they're like 35, maybe 40, because they're a little bit late bloomers, they'll finally get their shit together. They'll become real humans, and they'll turn up just like the rest of us old fogies living in the suburbs, trying to, begging their wife for sex every Saturday night.
Martin Max King says, Boomer talk, hitting on girls at the bar. This isn't the 80s anymore, LOL. But I agree, Gen Z has it wrong, but it's a sign of the times.
Bro, hitting on girls at the bar should be a time immemorial activity. That should not be, that's a generational thing. I can't believe you guys would go out and try to talk to members of the opposite sex while drinking at the bar with your friends. I can't believe you did that crazy activity.
You chug a beer, give you the confidence to talk to the girl, and if she rejects you, you go back and chug another beer to forget about it, and then go on to the next. That's all.
Go on to the next. Guys, rejection's a part of life. Losing is a part of life. I think that's one of the big problems. Gen Z, they don't want to be losers. They don't want to get rejected. It's fear of this, fear of that. Guys, life is all about losing and rejection. I'm trying to teach my son this. He's 6 now, and he hates losing at board games. I'm like, son, life is about losing. Your father has lost more than he's won, but I've won enough to have a good life. So take some risks. Don't be afraid of losing. Certainly don't cheat. Don't live with fear. My son's going to be a Chad. Hitting on girls at the bar. I promise you that. I'll teach him that if needed.
We got Smart Sentinel in the house, so we're going to take a look at their Twitter page here. But before that, we're going to take a look at Bullshot, another one that we're involved with that has successfully raised millions of dollars here. Bullshot has successfully raised $7.5 million in private funding on February 10th. And then, of course, February 27th, Crypto Paradise Pulse. Bullshot is firing on all cylinders in the meme economy. Just hit a massive milestones of 7.5 million raised, 70K plus tokens created, and 1.7 million transactions on the platform. What do you got to say about Bullshot? What's going on with their launch and their platform?
Yeah, man, I really like this one. It's kind of like a pump fund, but on BNB chain. They're really leaned into the BNB kind of creator economy, and they have support from that ecosystem. Their product is live, thousands of coins, thousands of users. Last I spoke to the founder about this topic, I think they were making about $100,000 in profits every month from their product, which pre-TGE, guys,
insane. That's
unheard of in crypto. To have a live product with users, that's one thing, but then to be making profits to the tune of $100,000 a month, probably more now, because the last few months since I spoke with him on this topic. We connect with him weekly, by the way. Really, really great guy by the name of Amir. But yeah, they're proof that even in this shitty, bearish period, if your project is good enough, if you have a real product with users that people want to use, generating revenue, you can get backing from VCs. You can conduct legit marketing campaigns. You can get the attention of decision makers at Binance. You can do these things if you build a good product. I don't care if the market's bearish or bullish. So shout out to those guys. We are going to be supporting them in their journey. We are onboarded as, quote, content creators to help promote them. And as you know, we are always long-term. So you'll be hearing us talking about Bullshot as they continue with their journey. And my hope is we will have the opportunity to invest into this private sale, whether through pools, whether through the Crypto Paradise DAO. It'll probably be available to both of those communities. But I think this one could do very, very well. We'll be revealing more information on their token economics, launch plans, potential upside, in future videos here. But expect more info on Bullshot as time goes by, and expect some investment opportunities for our core community.
Yeah, it looks like they're trending well, and they even got the eyes of CoinMarketCap. I saw here they were in the top crypto fundraising of last week, number 3 on the list at 7.5 million with all these VC investors. What's interesting is the top guys have 1 investor and 2 investors. It is much better to be in the top 3 and have, 13 investors, spreading out those tokens, spreading out the vesting period there, and having less risk from one capital raiser to dump on the heads of all the launch participants.
That's a really good point. I had not noticed that. And compared to the other prominent projects having recently raised, that is very encouraging to see. They are experiencing the industry. They know a lot of people. We're actually pretty damn close with the one of the co-founders over there, or team members, Nam. We've known her for going on like 7 or 8 years. She's an upstanding, hardworking Web3 degen. Happens to be female, pretty cool. Lives in Dubai, by the way. Hopefully she's safe. Shout out to you, Anam. But yeah, man, happy to be supporting these guys. Hopefully they continue to kick ass and take names, and it's a 10x opportunity for the early investors.
Always good to see the Crypto Paradise logo there on CoinMarketCap research.
Love it.
Stuff here.
Love
that's
it.
great.
It's how you build. So you get your name out there, folks.
Now, talking about somebody else who's building Smart Sentinel in here, since you came into the chat, we're going to talk about you. I see that you actually tweeted about a 4-minute snippet of our live show from yesterday when we talked about you guys and what you have going on Binance Smart Chain with AI, and CZ loves AI. So what are your thoughts about Smart Sentinels here? Still growing, only 2,300 followers, but again, new to the industry, partnered with pools, partnering with other launch pads, and it looks like they have a product and a token in a sector that will remain hot here in crypto, and that's AI.
Well, first of all, you got to give them a follow. I don't know what you're doing not following these guys. So that's first and foremost. But no, this is a great one. We talked about it a bit yesterday. Not too much more to add other than to say they are leaning into, first of all, the BNB ecosystem. Looks like they will be applying for some kind of Binance-related support. It's like, I think you said it yesterday, Binance is looking for AI and agent-type projects. And here's Smart Sentinels already having built on BNB and already having products deployable or ready to be deployed in that agent category. The coolest, I think, product that they have right now that's ready to go, because, by the way, you can use their network to deploy whatever agent that you want. So it is kind of like a network in that sense. But they've built their own custom agents for, discrete use cases, one of which is these low-cost, ultra-fast code audits. And if you know anything about the auditing world, you'll know that most human-generated audits are very, very expensive. You go to Certic, they charge you $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 for a Certic audit if your code base is big enough, and can take months and months and will inevitably be delayed. These guys, with their custom smart contract auditing AI software, they can audit your code in a matter of minutes or hours. I think it's very, very fast for a fraction of the cost. And I think this is like big picture if you think about the potential reach of a product like that. That's just one of the things their technology can enable, by the way, because it does a lot more than that. But if they can get that off the ground, all of a sudden they become the preeminent sort of automated auditor in the space. That's a very powerful narrative to have. So shout out to these guys, hardworking, good guys. Very good token economics too, mind you. Seed rounded at 2 million FDB. So, that just gives you an idea of how undervalued that round is. I'm excited for them. I'm happy they're working hard. Hopefully they get this Binance support they're looking for, and that should basically take them to the next level.
We need to get the Crypto Paradise logo either in the partner section or the backed by section, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we'll make that happen after the stream. Just send them over the logo, no issues. We're in a group with these guys. An interesting, funny story about these guys. Because they've been around for a little bit, right? And their website's been out, and Twitter and so on. So scammers, I told the story yesterday, but I'll tell it again. Scammers apparently copied everything of theirs and deployed the Smart Sentinels token, fake version of it, scam version of it, and it ran to like $7 million market cap. And then it happened again, and the second scam one ran to like 5 million. So, if the scam ones can get to 7 or 5 million, don't you think the real one, which is going to have an initial market cap of like a couple $100,000, don't you think that can also hit 7.5 million?
You would think so. And there's Smart Sentinel in the house saying, we have automated the security layer that Certic and Hacken is using to do manual audits. There you go. If you can get an audit output done in a fraction of the time for the fraction of the cost, and it's even 95% as good, that's going to be a useful product for projects that are looking to launch in crypto, especially those who in these times can't raise as much funds, don't have as much knowledge as big of teams because there's less developers in the space because there's not green candles. Products and tools like this will be helpful to allow them to launch faster, launch for cheaper, while still having a higher level of protection for potential investors than just these normal, fly-by-night pump fund tokens or whatever it may be.
Yeah, we've already introduced them to one project that I think will benefit from their auditing, their auditing product. But that's just one sort of use case of their core technology. It's much bigger than so to kind of say it's only for auditing or whatever. That undercuts a bit. I like that use case because it's concrete. There's definitely product market fit there. They should be able to generate revenue through that. But their core technology enables a lot more in the agent sector than just that. So this could be big. Does it hit 100 million, 500 million market cap? Who knows? But I think it's definitely bigger than maybe what we're letting on, and I think it has tremendous potential. And the narrative right now really fits what I think the market is looking for, and that's absolutely key if you're a crypto investor. You got to get that narrative right.
Yeah, they already have the healthcare live demo. I know you talked about that a few days ago. So good to see that they already have live demos. They have people using this. They have people onboarded. And we'll see if they can produce some revenue, because I did see the token economics. That within the token economics, there is some burning, which we know we love. We have the buy and burn of PTGC. We have the buy and burn of the Surf token. So it is deflationary here, which is great to see. And then we see that there is more tokens distribution for staking, which is great. It locks up tokens. Business clients, gives them an incentive to utilize the platform, which is always good. And NFT holders. So definitely interesting here. Good token economics. Like you said, the fake ones ran to multiples of millions of dollars market cap right out of the gate. So it'd be nice if the real one launches with use case, with burning functionality, and into a green market and can surpass the scams.
Yeah, man, it's all you need really is a green market at the end of the day, right? Like, projects far, far worse. I mean, who remembers meme season? There was nothing there, and those were running and going insane. So you need a green market for new altcoins to do well. But man, when the market is good, when the stars are aligning, you can really make tremendous gains. So I think the timing is good for these guys. Timing is good for the likes of Bullshot too. If we're in fact having a reversal here, and we hopefully have some new crypto paradise projects to talk about as well, in addition to these guys. But timing is everything. Hopefully this green on Bitcoin continues, ETH as well, Solana as well, and we start to see some activity in the trenches.
Yeah, we've been talking about this 5 red monthly blocks for Bitcoin. The last time that happened, it did 6 red monthly blocks and then was followed by green, green, green to the tune of a 4x on Bitcoin. Well, now we've had 5 red, and March is starting green, up 6.4%. Do you think that we stop at 5 red months, or do you think we go for a record-tying 6 red months with a red March coming out? And then do you think history repeats itself with massive gains in Bitcoin, followed by outperformance in Ethereum, and then finally the alt season the 4-year cyclists didn't even get to see, and that's why we're in a 5-year extended cycle here, and altcoins moon in the end of 2026 and maybe even into 2027, depending on how the midterms go, depending on ISM expansion, and depending on where liquidity wants to go. Will it chase these risk-on assets?
Yeah, I mean, there's factors always outside of our control, of course, or our ability to guesstimate what's going to happen next. But if I were a betting man, and I'm not, but I kind of am because I have a lot of money in the markets, I think the worst is behind us. I don't know. I mean, when we bombed Iran, that could have been, if we were going to go lower, if we were going to get to that 40,000 level, the bears, I guess, have been looking for, whatever. That's what their lines on the chart told them it was going to go to 40,000. They've been waiting for it. don't you think the bombing of Iran and the start of World War III, I hope you guys see my air quotes, World War III was going to cause that massive red candle and another black swan and capitulation 40,000? No, yeah, I mean, you would expect that, but no, that's not what happened. What happened is the opposite. What happened is we somehow have been getting green. We somehow have been getting more institutions buying in. We somehow have gotten the President of the United States to come out and say, F the banks, pass the Clarity Act. Americans should be able to earn money on their money. That's what's happening now in the month of March. And my guess, as to this war, whether through negotiated settlement or whether just through outright U.S. bombs, ass kicking, just killing all the regime motherfuckers, we're going to win that war one way or another by the end of March, which should then cause the market to go higher. So, long story short, I think the low of 60,000, that was it. Onward and upward.
There you go. I like the history repeating itself here. Having 5 months in a row red, having that mini bear season, letting people believe the 4-year cycle's there, having targets of 40,000, now putting in a major low in the face of a black swan event. And let's see if we can subsequent that up with a 4x return on Bitcoin. And we've been here saying Ethereum was going to and will continue to outperform Bitcoin, which it has off the low. And if Bitcoin could do a 4x, I think Ethereum is in tune for a potential, dare I say, 7 or 8x. And then what happens to the likes of Sentinel, Bullshot, PTGC, Surf? 10x's and 20x's is how I see it, folks. We'll see if I'm right once again. Call me Nickstradamus for a reason. Not always right, not picking the exact lows, not picking the exact highs, but winning more than we are losing and finding those 100x wins cycle after cycle.
That's the name of the game, man. That's the name of the game. That's where the fun starts. And I'm very pleased to see crypto Twitter come alive a little bit. I'm seeing some shills, some new coins getting shilled on crypto Twitter. We have not seen that in months. So encouraging to see. And I'm not saying you should just ape into all the coins by any means, and I'm sure most are scams. We know that. But the very fact we're seeing that level of activity in the trenches again, on a couple of days of green, what happens when Bitcoin, 80,000, 90, back to $100,000 after 2 or 3 months of green? What do you think the trenches look like then? So hopefully you guys are still locked in. Whether you're a builder, you're building. Whether you're an investor, you're hunting in the trenches. Whether you're a trader, you're still doing your thing. Hopefully not with too much leverage. Stay locked in, guys. I think the worst is behind us, and we got green months ahead.
We got Darius7929 in the house. Let's go, Smart Sentinels. Shout out to you. And then it says Amaru and Hitman, 2 OGs. That is correct. I got to mute this phone call. We'll get to that later because Indiana is ready to be talked about. Indiana putting itself back on the map, known as being Hoosiers, I believe, if I'm correct. Indiana expands crypto options for pensions. Indiana lawmakers are proposing HB 1042, which would allow state retirement funds for teachers, public employees, and safety officials to optionally invest in Bitcoin and crypto ETFs. The bill also covers 529 education plans and creates a blockchain task force to explore broader government use of digital assets. This is a significant step for crypto adoption because it brings digital assets into mainstream public investment, offering portfolio diversification and potential hedge against inflation. Bitcoin and digital assets are becoming an accepted part of traditional financial systems. This would be nice because, as you know, when you're opting into pension plans, when it comes to public teachers, government jobs, whatever it is, usually you get tax benefits for that and you get auto delegations into those assets. Why does the S&P go up forever? Well, because 90% of people who are working a corporate job are auto investing every 2 weeks. Well, now if you start getting public officials in Indiana and other states auto investing into Bitcoin, Ethereum, or other crypto assets every 2 weeks with tax benefits, they're incentivized to do so, and these scarce assets continue to go up and to the right.
Couple things on this story. One, this was in fact passed into law and signed by the governor there. So what was a proposal is now in fact a law in Indiana. So that's huge news just in and of itself. It got passed. Secondly, I think this now becomes a blueprint for other states, probably just the red states to start, because we know the Democrats are anti-Bitcoin and crypto because Trump likes it. Trump derangement syndrome in full effect. But for other Republican states to say, hey, we want to give our public servants the option to invest into digital assets as kind of that hedge, as kind of that way to diversify their portfolio. Interestingly, research came out recently that if you add Bitcoin to what was once a 60-40 portfolio, all your traditional asset managers will tell you 60% stocks, 40% bonds, that's how to be diversified. I think that's probably antiquated advice. But anyway, if you add Bitcoin to that mix, you outperform the market by like orders of magnitude. So I think you're going to start to see public employees avail themselves of the right to invest into Bitcoin and crypto. And you're going to see other red states adopt similar legislation. And then eventually you're going to see the feds, because this is what head of the SEC has been advocating for. This is what Treasury Besson has been, Secretary of the Treasury Scott Besson's been advocating for, being able to invest into crypto through your 401ks. And this is what Donald Trump's been advocating for. So slowly but surely, more institutional adoption. This is how in 10 years we get to $1 million Bitcoin.
Yeah, I'm going to pull up this right here, gopulse.com, big green on Pulse Chain. Now, why am I pulling this up? Well, Nick, because you love pulsing. That's true. But Hex Bull is back. The millionaire Hex Bull turned bear is now back, saying the bullback is back on. Yes, gents. Yes, bull market is back. I turned bear at 88,000 and raised my 50K target to 65K. Now we go to $90,000 Bitcoin. Enjoy the coming alt season, bros. And go PTGC. Good thing you mentioned PTGC. Maybe he's in the Surfed Out or Learn Crypto Patreon group, because PTGC up 40% since the buy call, 72 hours ago or something like that. But no wonder. PLS is up 9.46%. PLSX up 12.5%. Inc up 12%. And Hex up 16.2%. That, of course, helps PTGC go up. Helps Surf get volume and burn away tokens. Crypto Amaru. I know you have some PLS, and you're maybe going to do a little bit of a surf buy with 25% of that. We need to do that. We also need to collect our passive income from the likes of emit farms and deploy that into a surf buy and burn, and get the activity around surf buy and burns back going, and see if surf green candles can chase the likes of Pulse Chain, PTGC, and other altcoin sectors.
Yeah, I absolutely need to do that. I have a couple $1,000, I think, sitting in PLS, or maybe 1,000. I don't even know how much it is, but I got to go buy some surf. We'll check the emit farm stuff. But yeah, man, very encouraging to see. Very encouraging to see the market responding positively to, macro events. Pulse Chain off the lows. And look, this is, I think, just purely organic. This is not, Richard Hart having injected $1 million like we're all hoping and speculating may come, or tens of millions or hundreds of millions. He has that much. I think this is just, it was super oversold. Everyone who wanted to sell is basically out, and then it just takes a little bit of buy pressure to get massive green candles. That's what I think is happening over there.
Yeah, and when you have other builders still being active in that space, because remember, Crypto Paradise, for example, we're an active builder on Pulse Chain because we have the Surf token on that network. When we're doing well with, the likes of Bullshot or Sentinel or Pools Ventures or any other marketing revenue generation, and we're taking a percentage of that and bridging it onto Pulse Chain, that is bringing more liquidity. And like you said, everything is so oversold, so cheap over there, it doesn't take much to get things going. I think I took another $275 and just bought some surf just because, and I bought 250,000 surf tokens. If Crypto Paradise community gets a couple big wins, if Crypto Paradise as a brand gets a couple big wins, it doesn't take a lot of money bridging into Pulse Chain to have a big impact. It's not like Ethereum, where you deploy $250 and it's literally not even a drop of water. When you deploy $250 on Pulse Chain, you actually create a little bit of a ripple.
I'm about to buy some surf now. Why not? Why not? We got nothing else to do. I gotta get everything set up over here. But what stories we have to cover in the meanwhile as I set up my my buy?
Yeah, we have two more stories that I want to talk about. Kind of things we already talked about today, but we didn't actually talk about the headline here. Breaking: Kraken FX just became the first crypto firm to gain access to the Federal Reserve core payment system, putting it on the same payment rails as thousands of U.S. banks and credit unions. Now, I'm not a big Kraken user. I've always been a Coinbase user when it comes to U.S. regulation, but I think this is crazy and a trend in the right direction. The fact that now a crypto exchange, a centralized exchange, is using the same payment rails as thousands of U.S. traditional banks shows you the direction of crypto, Bitcoin, and blockchain technology. And also maybe this can help spur more retail adoption because, David Portnoy still has that sponsorship by Kraken, and he talks to a lot of sports gamblers and sports bettors, and he's been buying the dip in crypto. So maybe when Green Candles Co., instead of betting the over on some sports, you start betting by hitting the buy button on Bitcoin and Ethereum over on the Kraken exchange.
I thought this was bullish news. Not necessarily because, you know, it's going to benefit you guys directly or anything, but it just shows that there is now an acceptance of crypto that has never existed up until this moment in time. You guys recall under Biden, Operation Choke Point 2.0, the banks basically debanking everyone in crypto, SEC suing everybody in crypto, the Democrats coming out firmly against it, you know, from a rhetorical standpoint. It was all bad, bad, bad. And certainly the Fed wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. It's now the opposite. It's now the opposite, and yet Bitcoin's still only at $72,000. And this is just another example that Federal Reserve, they never would have done this under Biden. Now they're doing it. My guess is, you know, Coinbase next. Who else is next? It's going to be, we're going to look back in 5 years and go, okay, crypto, blockchain, Bitcoin, all accepted parts of the financial system. They tried to fight it initially, then they embraced it, and then there was a groundswell of support. It ran to $200,000 Bitcoin in that cycle. Everyone was happy, made a bunch of money. Now it's just an accepted part of society, and you know anyone can buy it, use it, whatever. I think we're getting to that phase. I think we're finally getting to the beginning of that phase. It may take another 5 or 10 years to fully play out, but it's a very positive step in the right direction.
Yeah, and the last piece we want to talk about, you kind of talked about how Bitcoin is a prime diversifier to the normal 60-40 portfolio that boomers used to outperform it. Well, here you go. Here's the data from James Bull. Bitcoin is now the best performing trillion-dollar asset since the start of the war on 28th of February and has drastically outperformed gold, silver, copper, platinum, palladium, S&P 500, Nvidia, Microsoft, Tesla, Google, Amazon, Netflix, and Berkshire Hathaway. And although you talked about the historical data and long-term data, here in the short term, in the face of global uncertainty, Bitcoin has been the best investment to have your money in. Now, although it's still lagging gold and silver over the past 6 months, do you think this trend continues and Bitcoin and Ethereum really start to outperform the rest of the markets that it seemingly lagged for this last, really since the October 10th crisis?
I mean, it kind of felt like inevitable in the sense that investors were eventually going to have to look around. By the way, I think my surf buy just went through. Maybe we can check. I'll check in on that on the Telegram. Hey, it worked. Cool. Grabbed like 100 or 200,000 surf tokens. So that was fun. In any event, investors, aren't they eventually going to look around and go, okay, gold's at all-time highs. All the AI plays are basically at all-time highs. Even the Russell 2000 is like seemingly doing well. Like, where can I find some outperformance in this market? Eventually, don't the big, I'm talking about the big money investors, the guys who really move markets, not retail little Joe Schmo buying $10,000 in Bitcoin. Guys with billions of dollars at their disposal, right? And there's plenty of money to go around. Aren't they eventually going to have to look at Bitcoin and go, damn, this is the only place there's going to be genuine outperformance now throughout the remainder of this, next, whatever, how many more months we have in a bull run until there's a blow off top because Trump overheated the the economy and just pumped our bags too hard, and then the Fed rug pulls us at the end of the year. That's my prediction anyway. But don't you think investors got to look around and say this is the only place with genuine outperformance left? Everything else at all-time highs.
Very true. We've been talking about that. Bitcoin was lockstep with the NASDAQ for a while, and then it kind of decoupled to the downside. And then people thought, well, maybe it's because we're getting the digital gold narrative back. But then we saw gold and silver break out a decade-long consolidation periods, and Bitcoin has really been the inverse of gold. We saw it back in April when gold topped, Bitcoin bottomed, and then when gold consolidated for 3 months, Bitcoin went to new all-time highs. We saw it back on the first run of gold to about $4,500. Bitcoin bottomed, gold topped. Then when it dropped for a couple days, Bitcoin surged to 116,000. And now we've seen it on the run to $5,000 gold. Bitcoin has been down and to the right while gold made new highs. Silver wanted to break out and exploded as well, dampened Ethereum. And now those two are consolidating, and Bitcoin and Ethereum are starting to catch a bid. It's almost like everything we said is becoming a reality. Now, I didn't think that Bitcoin and Ethereum would get this low, not with the, because I saw stocks going higher. I saw precious metals doing okay, and I didn't think that Bitcoin and Ethereum would underperform my predictions for those markets and the economy that's really happened. But it did get deep. We haven't seen the 4-year cycle lows, which you would be looking for 40K, 45K, some even 35K. We've only got to 60. And I really hope that we found a meaningful bottom, a 50% correction, and Bitcoin and Ethereum playing catch up to the rest of the global markets, and Bitcoin and Ethereum really continuing to get institutional demand, strong long-term holders, and retail again is going to get caught with their hands in the cookie jar. They're going to get caught FOMOing behind the backs of institutional investors, behind the backs of big banks, and making less gains and getting dumped on by those people. At what price that happens, I don't know, but history seemingly repeats itself in the financial markets. Retail panic, sell the lows, don't want to get involved until they see new all-time highs in green candles, and by then, the big boys are the winners once again.
Big boys and us, because we didn't sell. But yeah, the one thing, because I think you have to be contrite and you have to admit when you're wrong. The one thing that I underestimated was the amount of OG, not necessarily the whales. You know, it's important part of the story, but just a lot of the smaller Bitcoin holders. At the number of them, I mean, they really just hold so firm to the 4-year cycle theory. And I didn't expect we'd see that much selling from those people. I thought more of them had come around to our way of thinking, which 5-year cycle, ISM is what drives price of Bitcoin. You know, every other asset's at all-time highs. Like, why are you selling here at the lows? But they just seemingly kept selling from 126 down to 60,000. The bears and the 4-year cyclists kept selling. And I guess I was just surprised by that. It did take me aback a little bit because, I don't know, maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm the only idiot on here who thinks Bitcoin's going to $1 million and you should never sell it. But I guess there's a lot of people who, they like to sell, trade, try to outperform the market, this or that. I underestimated those folks. But in any event, hopefully, you know, that story is done. Bears no longer in control. And the remainder of, 2026 is going to be a story written by the bulls.
Yeah, we looked at the charts of Bitcoin, Ethereum, PTG, some others early in the show. So if you want to see our technical analysis on that, take a look. Then we went through some news pieces. We talked about some new alpha projects to keep an eye on when they launch, Bullshot and Sentinels. We're going to be talking about those leading into the launches. Maybe you can get in the pre-sale round, maybe the public sale round, or maybe you just want to wait for the public launch, see how those things go. Because we do know that pre-sales and new projects haven't been doing very well. But we see that just with a little bit of green candles, investor appetite and launch performance drastically changes in crypto because people want to be bullish. They just need a reason to be bullish, and momentum and morale will switch quickly in cryptocurrency, probably more than any market that exists. And the last piece I want to cover before we get off here, because I just saw this pop up from Elon Musk 24 minutes ago. We talked about this like a year and a half ago, talking about how X is going to become the everything app and embrace the financial system, turning up on its head and embrace crypto. And here you go. I don't think people truly understand what's about to happen with X money. This is Elon going back to his roots, back to X.com and building what he always wanted to in the first place. And it goes on to describe all of the things that X money will have. And digital payments and cryptocurrency support is on that list. And what do you know? Elon Musk himself quote tweeted it saying, "This will be big." Much wow.
It's absolutely going to be big. I think he's trying to build the Western version of WeChat. Essentially an everything app, a super app. Now, of course, it has all your social media, all the connectivity you want from that standpoint. And then now integrating the financial aspect. Will you be able to send payments, receive payments, perhaps even invest directly through the X platform? I think it will be big. I think it will help onboard another, a couple million people into crypto who will see the genuine use of Bitcoin and crypto as cross-border currencies, instant peer-to-peer transactions. Not have to go through some shitty bank that could say, "Oh no, you're trying to send too much at once." If anyone's dealt with banks, just deal with the bank for a couple months trying to send money overseas or withdrawing big amounts or anything that could, or even hell, depositing $10,000 will get you flagged. So, F the banks. People eventually come to the conclusion that Bitcoin and crypto, et cetera, are much better forms of money. And this is a positive step in the right direction. So I'm excited for it. Betting against Elon has proven to be a very unwise decision, hasn't it, over the past couple of years?
That has been true. PTGC up now 44% since the buy as Bitcoin runs to $72,700. Ethereum over $2,100. Good to see. Taking out these moving averages. How are the crypto-related stocks doing? Coinbase rapidly up, gapping higher towards $207, approaching the $215 buy we had. Wasn't a perfect buy, but we sold all of our Coinbase at $370 per share, had patience for 3 months, and bought it back at $215, and that's the price we're currently approaching. We got Bitminer just been floating around the $20 level for quite a while now. That is good to see. As Ethereum was selling off hard, Bitminer kind of found a floor price due to all the ETH that they own and the ETH they were accumulating, jumping up to $21.35, and Sharplink Gaming up to $8 a share once again. ISM we already touched base on, 52.4, down 0.2 over the past month, but this is 2 consecutive months above 50 for the first time in years on the ISM. So that is great to see, as we've been a proponent of ISM leads Bitcoin. ISM into the 60s will be a major euphoria top for Bitcoin and Ethereum, and that is why we believed that the Bitcoin cycle was not yet over.
I know yesterday everyone was panicking about oil prices are going to cause inflation and cause a recession, and I guess that story is done because it seems like this war is ending one way or another sooner rather than later. Here's a positive sort of hopium take on the outcome of this war. I think people are underappreciating there could be a lot of positive effects of it, particularly when it comes to the price of oil. Having a terroristic, theocratic regime controlling the Straits of Hormuz was never good for the global oil markets. Having the regime controlling the third or fourth largest supply of oil, underground oil in the world, I think it's third or fourth, that was not good for oil markets. So to get this regime out, to remove the threat of the Strait of Hormuz being closed at any given moment in time because of the whims of the regime, these are all very positive for the prices of oil. So I know in the near term, scary, panic, it's going, oil's going to go $100 a barrel again. There's a world in which this actually all works out and oil prices actually go below what they were leading up to this. And by the way, more energy is sold from the Americans and the Western nations that produce oil, and less oil is sold by a crazy theocratic terrorist regime. This is positive, guys. This is positive stuff. Let's not lose sight of that.
Yeah, we see crude oil up 12% in the past 5 years. Meanwhile, inflation has been something like 24%. So oil prices underperforming inflation, always good to see, as I know it costs money to put gas in those vehicles. I got the Corvette, so I'm paying for premium, so I need to keep premium under $4 a gallon as long as possible, at least until Bitcoin gets to $1 million a token.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah, you bought the Corvette a little prematurely maybe, but that's okay. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Yeah, I now drive my wife's car more because my car also takes premium, so I just drive my wife's car, which is like, it's a nice car actually. I got her a Subaru. It's a new Subaru. It's what she wanted. But in any event, I digress a little bit. It's all going to be fine, guys. The Iran war is going to end. It's not World War III. No one came to the rescue of Iran. Everyone teamed up against them. Except, I guess, Spain and UK, a bunch of spineless leftist idiots. Everyone else is basically teaming because Iran is shooting missiles at all their neighbors. What do they think was going to happen? So no World War III. U.S. will win one way or another, whether through military might or just a settlement. This will be old news. All the doomsdayers and the panicins and, oh my God, Trump, he's ruining it. It wasn't legal. I don't know. They're complaining about everything. They will be proven wrong. And we will enter a glorious bull run, guys. That's what's going to happen next. Just watch.
Well, that is our Wednesday edition of Crypto Paradise. We'll be back again tomorrow. Let's see if we still have more green in the market. Remember, we kind of crossed these major lines in the sand. So even pullbacks on Ethereum to $2,035 still remains bullish. And for Bitcoin, it could pull back really to $70,200 and still remain bullish. So just because, if we see a little bit of a red candle, it's okay. Things don't go straight up forever.
Oh, it's not going to be a straight line up. I mean, there's going to be consolidations and dumps and volatility and all the things that are always present in the Bitcoin and crypto markets. But the long-term trend, I think, is finally reversing and turning bullish. That's really all you should care about. If you're a long-term holder, if you care about the trenches, if you want to make money in crypto, we need the long-term trend to be bullish, which I think that is what's happening here right before our very eyes. We'll see when the rest of the former bears want to ape in. Is it at 80? Is it at 90? Is it 100? When Do all the sideline bears decide to say, okay, I can't miss this next run up to whatever, and I'm jumping back in?
Yeah, we'll see. I think the all-important level for Bitcoin, we talked about it early in the show, is really getting back to $84,000, which seems like, oh my gosh, it's so far. But remember, we just ran from 60,000 to 72,000 in the course of a couple weeks here. And Ethereum, you really want to get above $2,800 to $3,000 level to mark that major lows are in, and the cycle continues higher, in my opinion.
We'll see. I mean, we are the perma bulls out there, so we've been wrong before, but eventually we're going to get it right. Because you can't be bearish forever. Eventually the markets go back up, and I think we're at that moment in time. So hopefully we're right. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the show, following along. We want to hear from you. If there's any coins you want us to cover, political stories you want us to cover, you want us to talk about our wives' cars more, or Gen Z complaints, let us know. But it's a great one today. Appreciate your time, guys, and until tomorrow, see you on the beach.